My name is Brooklyn Wasser. I am majoring in Business Administration, Management, and Human Resource Management. I am taking this speech course in order to finish general education requirements for my degree. I'm here to talk to you today about some strengths and weaknesses I have as a public speaker. I work for the Department of Revenue, and with revenue, I have had to give formal speeches before. Every time I give a formal speech, I get incredibly nervous, sick to my stomach, and my hands get clammy. But one thing that is good for me is to remember to breathe, and also to remember that my audience can't see how nervous I feel. Another type of speech that I've had to give in the past is an informal speech at life events, such as a wedding, or most recently at my father's funeral. I was the maid of honor at my sister's wedding, and I gave a speech, but of course, as soon as I began talking, I started crying. I was recalling all of our favorite childhood memories and also thinking about her future. I was able to pull myself together and talk more steady, even though I was upset. I specifically remember sitting in the front pew at the church at my dad's funeral and staring into the casket and listening to my sister's speech. Her speech was well thought out and very beautifully written, and it tied in every member of my family, and it made us all feel incredibly special. I remember during certain times of her speech when my husband would squeeze my hand whenever my sister would say something that made me cry. And the only thing that I kept remembering was that I was going to have to get up and speak next, which meant my father's funeral was almost over. So as soon as my sister brought her speech to a close, I stood up and was immediately dizzy and overcome with grief. All I kept thinking as I walked up to the podium was I wrote my speech in 5 minutes. It literally took me 5 minutes to write my speech. Is it even going to be worth reading? As I stared into the crowd, I saw a lot of people who loved my dad and who my dad loved back. That made it easier for me to talk to them. I looked down at the speech I had wrote through blurred eyes and began talking. And that was a speech that I didn't have to remember because I already knew it by heart. And I can say that even through emotional distress of talking at life events like at funerals or at weddings, I am able to pull myself together and get through it, because I know that sharing my memories and expressing my feelings far outweighs being nervous in front of a crowd. There are certain things that I need to work on as a public speaker, which are using as a pause word or like as a transition word. And oftentimes if I'm talking to someone and I am saying or like a lot and realize it, I'll just completely stop talking and have a deer in the headlights look on my face until it's awkward and I feel like I need to completely start over. Another thing that I need to work on is prolonging my explanations. It's something I've done since I was a child, and my family still gives me a hard time still to this day. I will tell a story, but it'll take a really long time when it really should have taken a short amount of time. And this can be confusing and oftentimes get off subject. So there are a few things that I need to work on as a public speaker, but most of the time I feel like I have myself in control when doing a speech. Some ways that I can work on being a public speaker is to make sure to do an outline and make note cards, practice my speeches, become familiar with them so that I do not use or like, and if I do, that it's okay and that I need to just move on.